Hello and welcome to MEE Live. I'm Matilda Mallinson. It's Tuesday, the 2nd of December, 2025. Today, how Netanyahu's war crime probe was derailed by threats, leaks, and allegations. First, though, the headlines. An American organization calling itself Stop Anti-Semitism has targeted children's content creator Miss Rachel on its, quote, Anti-Semite of the Year list due to her highlighting the suffering of Palestinian children. The group has repeatedly attacked Miss Rachel on social media for sharing messages with her more than 20 million followers that show starving Palestinian children and youngsters who lost limbs due to Israel's genocide in Gaza. The educator was listed alongside 9 other media professionals who have consistently criticized Israel's war on Gaza and its support from the US government. US President Donald Trump issued a veiled warning against Israel on Monday not to interfere with Syria's evolution after Israel conducted a deadly raid against its neighbor, killing more than a dozen people. Trump wrote on his social media platform Truth Social, "The United States is very satisfied with the results displayed, though hard work and determination in the country of Syria. It is very important that Israel maintains a strong and true dialogue with Syria and that nothing takes place that will interfere with Syria's evolution into a prosperous state." And you can read the full stories on MiddleEastEye.net. It's November 2024. 1 year into Israel's genocide in Gaza, and severe restrictions have been placed on aid, meaning people are desperately struggling to access medicine, food, and clean water. Already, over 40,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks. 10,000 are likely buried under the rubble, and more than 90% of the Strip's population have been forced to flee their homes. It was at this time that the International Criminal Court filed arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and a Hamas commander, citing allegations of war crimes and crimes against humanity, including use of starvation as a weapon of war. The International Criminal Court, or ICC, is the world's only permanent court with the power to prosecute senior officials for international crimes. It's currently investigating a dozen situations, including Palestine, Ukraine, Sudan, Libya, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Philippines. But since it began investigating Israeli leaders, the court has been hit by existential difficulties, threats of defunding over these investigations, a prolonged and opaque investigation into its chief prosecutor, and a series of sanctions by Netanyahu ally, US President Donald Trump. Also in that time, the humanitarian crisis resulting from Israel's siege on Gaza was officially declared a famine in August this year, and the death count has surpassed 70,000 Palestinians. So why has no one yet stood trial for the genocide in Gaza? And given all those barriers, will they ever? Trump began his campaign against the ICC in February when he imposed financial and visa sanction on its chief prosecutor, Karim Khan. He has since sanctioned 2 deputy prosecutors and 6 judges, but he has also threatened to sanction the court as a whole. Already, the UN, which backs the ICC, says the existing sanctions hinder not just its function, but its very independence.
The decision imposes severe impediments on the functioning of the office of the prosecutor in respect for all the situations that are currently before the court. Judicial independence is a basic principle that must be respected. And these types of measures undermine the foundation of international justice.
It is in the context of these unprecedented threats that representatives from the court's 125 member states are gathering at The Hague this week for its 24th annual meeting. MEE reporter Sondos Asem is present. She joins us now. Sondos, welcome to MEE Live. Now, US sanctions, if they do occur, have been described as a doomsday scenario for the International Criminal Court. What would full US sanctions mean for the court, and how likely is that to happen?
as you mentioned, it's widely believed that if the US goes ahead with sanctioning the court as an institution, it would indeed be a doomsday scenario. And that is simply because of how reliant the court is on the US financial system, including the use of cloud services, for example, by the American tech giant Microsoft. So indeed, this scenario would be an existential threat to the court itself as an institution. However, so far it has not happened, and it remains uncertain. So far, the US has sanctioned the entire staff or the three prosecutors of the court, beginning with Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan in February, and then also it sanctioned 6 judges working, by the way, not just on the Palestine situation, but also on Afghanistan, and the same judges that worked on arrest warrants for leaders of the Taliban. And then the 2 deputy prosecutors have also been subjected to sanctions most recently, and it's widely believed to be a way of attempting to deter the office of the prosecutor, but the court as a whole, from investigating alleged war crimes by nationals of Israel or allies of the US, which is what the executive orders by the US government and President Donald Trump mentioned, that the US is basically sanctioning these individuals because of their attempts to investigate nationals of countries that are perceived to be allies of the US.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the first time that the leader of a Western ally has been prosecuted by the ICC. Now, Sondos, you reported today that the ICC is taking top secret measures to protect itself in the scenario that Trump was to impose full sanctions. But these sanctions, they don't just impact the ICC, they've also impacted smaller rights groups affiliated with the court, including Palestinian justice groups like Al-Haq. What commitments have the member countries gathered in The Hague made to protecting those affected by Trump's sanctions?
Indeed, one of the casualties of these sanctions has been the 3 leading Palestinian human rights groups, Albanese, the Palestinian Center for Human Rights, and these are the groups that have been crucial for documenting human rights violations that have been taking place against the Palestinians, and they have done so in cooperation with the court, obviously, because the civil society organizations are critical for the work of the court. And so far, we are still on the 2nd day of the Assembly of States parties. I have not heard enough statements of support for these civil society organizations, or criticism or condemnation of the sanctions that have targeted them. And I have heard them indeed in our interviews with these rights groups being dissatisfied or disappointed with the lack of support that they have received so far. So, as you mentioned, these rights groups, they are not part of the ICC. They are independent. They carry out their work independently. But the sanctions imposed on them since September have cut them off from their sources of finance. I was speaking with the head of Al-Haq organization, who mentioned that over 40 of his staff right now are not receiving their salary.
Wow.
And we're talking about one of the biggest human rights organizations in Palestine. Also, because of the chilling effect of these sanctions, the partners of these rights groups that are based in the US have also stopped their engagement and communication with these rights groups, because otherwise they would be violating US laws under the current sanctions.
And these sanctions are just one of the problems that is facing the ICC. The court's also been in a state of limbo in that it's been operating without a chief prosecutor since May, which is when Karim Khan took a leave of absence pending the outcome of a misconduct probe. Now, the allegations against Khan were placed around the same time as he filed arrest warrants into Netanyahu and Gallant. Khan denies the allegations against him. The investigation was supposed to be completed in October, but that deadline came and went without acknowledgement. Have you heard anything about why this is taking so long, whether there's a new deadline, and basically when the court will be able to get back to work with the chief prosecutor in place?
Indeed, the president of the Assembly of States Parties at the plenary session yesterday at the opening of the event has acknowledged that there is some delay in this process, and that the investigation is underway. It's being conducted by a UN-led investigation, the Office of Internal Oversight Services. And according to numerous experts that we have interviewed, the entire process is very opaque. There is no clarity on the terms of references for this UN investigation, which is, by the way, an internal investigation. And following the conclusion of this report, there will be a panel of 3 judges who are going to be tasked with issuing a legal determination on the status of the prosecutor and whether or not he was guilty of misconduct. No one knows who the panel of judges is, and there are lots of complaints within the court and amongst the experts on the uncertainty of this whole process. And yet the courts, the Assembly of States Parties president, they issued a statement, like the minutes of their meeting that was released at the end of November, indicated that the investigation is ongoing and nobody knows when it will be concluded.
Sondos Asem.
Yeah, it's a situation right now.
Sondos Asem, Middle East Eye news editor and journalist, thank you for your time today. Now, there are many major challenges facing the court. The sanctions. There is also, in a story broken by Middle East Eye, at one point threats made against the International Criminal Court by then British Foreign Secretary David Cameron to revoke funding should they pursue the arrest warrants against Netanyahu. But as just discussed there with Sondos Asem, one of the major challenges is the lengthy investigation into misconduct allegations against its chief prosecutor, Karim Khan. Now, he resolutely denies these claims and was specifically forced to take a leave of absence in May due to his identity being leaked to the media. Nevertheless, when claims are made, investigations are necessary and they can take time. Is there really anything out of the ordinary with this story? Here to shed some light is Italian former ICC judge Dr. Cuno Trafusser, also tuning in from The Hague. Dr. Trafusser, thank you so much for joining us. So the ICC has had no chief prosecutor in place since May, and there's no end date, we just heard, to this state of limbo. How disruptive is that actually to the court's functions, and specifically to the cases against Netanyahu and Gallant?
Well, good evening, first of all. I'm happy to join you. Well, responding to the question, I think that in any case, an institution without its head is an institution without or not with the same legitimacy, because no deputy can be as legitimate as the head of the office is. So it is disruptive. But I think that it's even more disruptive in relation to the case of Netanyahu Gallant, as you mentioned. But I think it's clearly linked to that case. I mean, I see a link between that case and the investigations against the prosecutor, because it's timely. It's a very suspect. The timely link between the two cases. So I don't see them two distinct factors.
Dr. Trafusser, you have spoken to Middle East Eye before about the fact that Karim Khan's identity was leaked to the media, and that being one cause of concern among many about how these allegations have come into light, how they've been investigated. Am I right then in understanding that it's not normal for the person's identity to be revealed while these investigations are still ongoing, and for them to have to actually take a leave of absence?
Well, of course, it's not normal. I mean, an investigation should not be made in public, and the name should not be published, and even less by the president of the Assembly of State Parties, meaning by the highest representative of the ICC. I mean, this is, I think, a scandal that this was leaked, but it's not the only scandal. I think another scandal is the way how this whole proceedings is treated. I mean, in a court where all defendants which are accused of the most heinous crimes have guaranteed all their rights to defend themselves, and rightly so, the only one who is not allowed to defend himself is the prosecutor, because there is proceedings ongoing which he does not know on the basis of which legal basis this proceeding is ongoing. He does not know who and how and who are the persons who are investigating. Of course, he knows something because he was questioned, but he does not know the legal basis they have. And now these fact-finding proceedings should be submitted to a panel of judges who should interpret these facts in legal terms. And we don't know, and nobody knows who, well, not nobody, but not the person who is affected and who has the biggest reasons to know, does not know who are those people and how he can defend on the basis of which legal basis he can defend himself in front of those judges. I mean, this is opaque. This is all illegal, and we have a court without a prosecutor. I think this is in times which are really very, very delicate, and where a strong prosecutor should be in place to do his job.
While the ICC's decision to prosecute Israeli leaders Netanyahu and Gallant has certainly been the source of many of its current difficulties, not least the sanctions by US President Donald Trump, it is under wider threats as well. The US president has been trying to undermine the ICC for a long time, before Israel's war on Gaza even. Here's him speaking during his first term 7 years ago.
As far as America is concerned, the ICC has no jurisdiction, no legitimacy, and no authority. The ICC claims near universal jurisdiction over the citizens of every country, violating all principles of justice, fairness, and due process. We will never surrender America's sovereignty to an unelected, unaccountable global bureaucracy.
Well, let me say two things. The first is that I'm very much surprised, and this is obviously ironically, this has an ironic meaning. I'm surprised that a non-state party, because the US is a non-state party, have never ratified the statute, although having signed it back in Rome, interferes with the work of an institution they are not part of. I mean, first join ratified the statute and join the ICC, and from within, I think you are legitimate to criticize and to interfere. I think this interference by President Trump is very, very close to be not legal. I mean, it's very political, but it's a very strange thing. The second thing I want to say is that the ICC is the whole Trump battle against the ICC started with the arrest warrant requested against Netanyahu in the Israel-Palestine conflict. A year before, when the ICC issued the arrest warrant against Putin, the ICC was celebrated as a really heroical institution, which finally did something against Putin. These are, I do not understand these double standard because the crimes, international crimes, are not good crimes. You can't divide them in good crimes and bad crimes. They're simply crimes. And we are not here to distinguish politically who are friends of whom, but we are here to judge crimes, to judge situations which we then identify as international crimes or not. So, these double standards are for the politics, but are not for a court of law.
Dr. Cuno Trafusser, it's been great to have you. Thank you so much for your time. Now, someone who knows what it's like to be personally sanctioned by the US government, and even more specifically sanctioned for their work on Palestine, is UN Special Rapporteur for the Occupied Palestine Territories, Francesca Albanese. Francesca, welcome to MEE Live.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, speaking from personal experiences, I'm sure you can, could you just describe to us how crippling these sanctions against individual judges on the ICC are likely to be to people's ability to do their jobs?
Yes, I would like to have the opportunity to contextualize also what this affront means, because there is no other way to describe these draconian measures and persecutory measures other than an affront against multilateralism. But in my particular case, this is the culmination of 3 years of smearing campaigns, personal attacks, defamation, and attacks against me and the members of the family, threats, etc. I think that the more you resist to the attempt to silence you, the more you expose yourself. And as the International Criminal Court has itself naturally put its work in the line because of simply pursuing justice and so delivering its mandate, same as happened to me. I've done nothing else than serving with loyalty and a sense of sacrifice what the United Nations have asked me to monitor and document the reality in the occupied Palestinian territory. And I've been particularly unfortunate in having to do that in the time of genocide. So the sanctions have been imposed on me by extending the measures of the executive order against the ICC. And that executive order should be studied in and of itself, because how is it possible that international justice represents a threat to the United States? However, what does it mean in practice? It means that you are financially censored. Not only you are banned from entering the United States, which might or might not directly impact you. In my case, it does impact my work because I'm due to present my report once a year to the General Assembly. And this year I couldn't because I was not, my diplomatic visa was withdrawn and another visa was not renewed, not even to go just to present the report. But also I have personal attachment and interest in the US, given the fact that my daughter is an American citizen. We have an apartment in Washington. We used to go there. So it touches me personally. But besides this, what does it mean to be financially censored? It means that you are cut off any financial transaction. You will hardly find, in fact, you will find no bank available to open you a bank account because no matter where you are, the banking system is, if you have international transactions, is under US law. Banks have interbank accords that might put the banks themselves at risk of being sanctioned if they entertain financial transactions with a sanctioned person. So no credit card, no possibility to be paid, no possibility to receive payments. And it's much harsher than that because, for example, and which means that, for example, you are in a city, you cannot, my applications have to operate financial transactions have been cut. My bank account has had to be closed. I had it in the US and I was not able to open it in any other countries where I've tried. But then even, my medical insurance refused to reimburse me. I have a private medical insurance and they refused to reimburse me because I'm sanctioned by the US. The European Union Parliament invited me for a talk recently. They booked a room for me and it was canceled because it was on my name.
Wow,
Even financial transactions that have nothing to do with me, but have my name on it. For example, you try to transfer £1 or $1 or €1 to your friends with my name in it.
Wow.
It won't pass.
I'm so sorry, firstly, that you're having to deal with this. And it shows how crippling these sanctions can be. And yet the US is threatening to ramp up its sanctions, not just to impact individuals associated with the ICC, but the ICC as a whole. If they are to go ahead with that, what would that mean for global justice?
I think it would be a fatal blow for the International Criminal Court, because look, as I said, it's no coincidence that I started answering your question by situating it in the adversarial climate of intimidation that is directed against the people, the judges, the prosecutors, anyone who entertains like professional relations with them. But also, on top of the judges and the prosecutors, even Palestinian organizations whose work in the past years has been pivotal to set up the case that the ICC considered have been sanctioned. So this is why I say it's very, very persecutorial, and it's intended as a blow to the international justice system that has in international criminal law, which is outside the United Nations system. It's most vulnerable part, but also its more critical part, especially in a time like this, where crimes seems to have become more tolerated than ever. And I fear a system where criminal endeavors become normalized and the norm.
And actually, those Palestinian rights organizations that you just pointed out, rightfully, have been affected by these sanctions. Groups like Al-Haq and the Palestinian Center for Human Rights. They were speaking to our journalist at The Hague, and she was on the show earlier, and she said that, they have seen this gathering at The Hague with 125 member states of the ICC. There's been a lot of lip service paid, but no concrete pledges really laid out by these countries about how they're going to protect those who have been affected by Trump's sanctions. What do you think ICC countries should be doing to fight Trump's sanctions?
Well, in the first place, it's like me. I don't think that it should be the ICC fighting the sanctions. It should be the international community. Now, there have been about, correct me if I'm wrong, memory might fail me, but there have been over 70 states the day after the sanctions reached members of the ICC to speak against it. Same thing with me. So many member states have expressed solidarity. There has been the totality, almost, not the totality, but almost the totality of my colleagues, the fellow independent expert and special rapporteurs, denouncing these in their statements at the Human Rights Council and the General Assembly recently, and they've been welcomed and noted by member states. But then no one seems eager to move forward toward challenging these sanctions. This cannot be left upon us, judges, prosecutors as individuals, or the institution, the ICC as a whole, or even worse, the Palestinian Human Rights Organization, who are the weakest part of the chain. There should be a responsibility upon member states and action by member states. And I look at the European Union as the first in line here, because there have been discussions to activate something called the blocking statute, so as to limit the effect of the sanctions in the European space. But there is no concrete talk about that. I was in Brussels. I don't know what the judges and the prosecutors did, but I was in Brussels for public and private meetings. And I tell you, it's not that there is confusion. Mm-hmm. They're really removed from what's happening to us.
Francesca Albanese, UN Special Rapporteur for the Occupied Palestine Territories. Thank you so much for joining us on MEE Live.
Thank you.
And for today, that is all that we have time for. But before we lose you, we want to hear from you. Please send in your thoughts and questions to @MiddleEastEye on any social media platform, or email meelive@middleeasteye.net. We'll be here at 5 p.m. GMT, noon in New York, every Tuesday and Thursday. See you then.